Hello, welcome back to the channel. It is day 2. What am I doing? Day 2. Now, this is relatively new. I tried to do it once before, didn't really work, just got forgetful. Hopefully I'm going to just see how it goes. But my aim is twice a week to do a video over coming up to Christmas. So last Saturday you saw day 1. Today we're going to do something different. So I have the Paper Rose Christmas Poinsettia. I have the Waffle Flower Postage Collage Poinsettia stencil, so hence Poinsettia stamp. And this is the Postage Collage die. So I'm going to use this, a piece of cardstock, and then we're going to do the stenciling, and yeah, so let me just do that quickly. This is the Old New sticky mat, so it moves around a little bit. I lie, it did move around before, you saw it. Anywho, so I'm going to place that down here. This is going to leave me plenty of room to stick my inks. So I've got a lighter and a slightly darker one. The aim is to have a little bit of gradient. That's the word, words are hard. So I've got Stormy Sky and Broken China. For my pink come red, I've got a Victorian Velvet and Barn Door. I think we start with green. And Shabby Shutters and Mowed Lawn. That's that. Because I did have a little play with this just to get the layout, get the feel, get the jam. Now all these stencils come with, where is it? It's on the other side. Poinsettia, you probably won't be able to see that, I don't know. But Poinsettia, the code for it, and then 4 of 4 leaves and centers, it all tells you. So this is the background. So this is number 1 of 4 backgrounds, 2 of 4 light, it tells you the color sort of to do it, and 3 of 4 medium. So I thought that was quite good. I thought that was good. I thought that was handy. There is also lots etched lines around, so you've got, because, well, where the border one is, there's another one, which I do have. It has the blocks, so you can cut all that out. I don't know where it is. It's down there somewhere. So it tells you where everything goes. So you just try and put it down without getting it stuck on your mat. And I'm just looking at the dots and the stitching, and adding it relatively straightforward and even, because you've got that embossed edge. I don't know whether you call it embossed edge, but there's an edge, there's etching on it that you can line it up with the stitching, and then you're as good as gold. So it's good. So I'm going to do a combination of smaller and larger blending brushes. To start off with, we've got a blue. Okay, so everything's going to be sped up a little bit here, a little bit, let's be honest, a lot. So I have the Broken China and Stormy Sky Distress inks, and I'm going to put a light layer of the Stormy Sky on first and just try and do a little bit around the edges, so it's going to be projecting a little bit of a shadow using the Broken China. So this is the background. This is stencil 1 of 4, and it's all labeled background, so I'm still chatting away in to you guys, but you know, I thought, no, let's just do a voiceover because it's going to be heaps easier to, you know, make it easier to be watched. That's all that is to it. So you can see here that I've got just a little bit around the edges. It's going to be darker towards the poinsettia that I have. This is the Victorian Velvet And we're just doing a little bit for this smaller center flower. You do have to be a little bit careful. I'm trying to point out here about the points of the poinsettia, but also it's not really bad, because you get some of the ones that are super fine. There's nothing in that middle block down the bottom. This is still just the same coloring, just using a bit of a concentrated with a smaller brush. This one is Barn Door, which I'm going to go in again with a relatively light hand. I also make sure that I go anti-clockwise with my motions and as well as clockwise, because you will get a little bit of a harder edge around it. Again, this is just a smaller brush with a heavier hand, just to give it that little bit of depth. And that stencil was like 2 of 4, which actually says, no, this is the leaves. But the other one said, the first one that we had says actually light. The next one says medium color. And this had the center of the flowers that I made sure I wiped off. I'm cleaning as I go. I just didn't think you needed to watch that. So this is Shabby Shutters. And then we're going to go through with Mowed Lawn and follow along with exactly what we've been talking about the whole time, with a little bit of depth. I originally planned to talk to you about what I do with the centers, but you're going to see that is missed out. What I did do, I used a bit of the gold stickles and just dropped a little bit here and there. Then you let it dry. I think later on I sort of roughly show you that a little bit, but it's really hard. I'll point it out to you. And then once it's dry, you go in with a little bit more. This way they don't meld all together and make a great big blob. So I've stamped this out twice because, as I mentioned before, I did have a little bit of a play because it was the first time I had the stencil. I had a little bit of play, so I'm actually going to make 2 cards that are both going to be exactly the same, pretty much. Except this one is going to have a little bit more of that shade variation. So my reds are, as you can read there, are 89, R46, R24, and R22. I did not know, and I sort of taught my client exactly the same thing because she likes the colors, that the red is not the flower. Now, I don't know what the deal is with that, but they are still leaves. So maybe some gardeners out there would know all the ins and outs about all that, but I do not. But I find it quite surprising. And I said to my client, I was like, do you know that this is not a flower? And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's not a flower. It's a leaf. I don't know how it all works, but it's supposed to be not a flower, apparently. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've heard that multiple times. I'm just saying. Again, I'm just showing you a little bit of the coloring because I don't want to take up so much of your time. I'm conscious of that. I go over it 2 times with the ones that are on the bottom, the slightly bigger red. They are trying to make the flowers or the leaf on the top. They're not flowers. Leaf on the top that little bit more brought forward. That was a combination. This is going to be a little bit brighter than my background. Now you could obviously subdue that and bring it off down to a much more muted and subtle look, but I really was quite keen on having that bold contrast against the soft look of the Poinsettia stencil. This green is R89, R24, and R21. Now my reds are like my go-to, especially Christmas. I will completely say that, but probably a lot of times I go with that combination of red because I just like it a lot. Sometimes I might change the really darker one to a 59 rather than an 89, but I quite like it. These are all the berries. I'm doing the same colors as the reds, and you can see here I'm just trying to do a slightly darker area and layer them all up. So nothing terribly different with that. The center of my flowers are going to be a combination of E59 and YR24. Again, not stressing because we don't stress. And then I'm going to cut it all out with my scissors. This is a little bit of cherry cobbler cardstock. You can leave this postage stamp all together, but I really quite liked the red in between, so I cut all mine off. Now, it is a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle. It's going to take me a little while to figure out what all goes where, but I'm sort of looking at it, the fact that there was that solid straight line down on the right hand side, through the middle there was a straight line, and everything else was a little bit wonky, as in not, you couldn't go straight through it with your guillotine. That's what I'm using. I quite liked it. You can see here I've got some stickles on that already, so that's the part I already cut out for you because I was trying to do live voiceover, you know, as I crafted, but I'm a really slow crafter. I can't do that. So I have some foam tape, and I'm also putting a little bit of glue onto that to make sure that I can give it a little bit of a wiggle around and make sure it is straight. This is the last one. I've adhered all the other ones. The other thing you can do, because you're cutting these all out, you can use the cut lines for your positioning, but I didn't think about that until afterwards, so that was that. But it doesn't matter, no one's gonna know. I did cut the berries because I thought I did cut the berries off. Finish your sentence, Nat. I did cut the berries off because I wanted it to be slightly smaller. I'm using a bit of glue to adhere them to the base, and then we're going to raise it all up with some foam tape. And apart from adhering all that, that's going to be pretty much it for my card for today. So if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It really does help the channel sort of grow because I'm only little. And I will leave a link down below to my blog. You can see, I did put some more on the poinsettia. I don't have the card in front of me. I went into the bedroom to do this and I don't have the card. So that's it. I hope you are well. Talk to you very soon. I don't know how many times I'm going to show you the card, and see you later. Bye.